Okay. Perry, to you, what is feminism?
I think feminism is a social movement that fights against things like gender equality, well, fights for things like gender equality, and just, I guess, the progression of women in our society and women's rights.
Okay. And do you believe women are equal to men in all aspects of society?
No, I don't believe that women are equal to men in all aspects of society
Like, can you give any examples?
at all. I think that women are, I guess, seen as lesser to men in social sense and in like a business sense. Women don't get paid as much as men. Women just go through a lot day to day in being belittled by men.
Okay. And in your own words, what is patriarchy?
I think patriarchy is the idea that men hold power over women and that women don't have a say in the power in our society and that women are something to be, or I guess that women are something to have power over.
Do you think the US is patriarchal?
Yes.
What is your definition of privilege?
Privilege is, I guess, having something over someone else, just um, having it easier or generally being superior over someone else.
Okay. Do you think sexuality, gender, race, and class determines how much someone privileged can have?
Yes, I think that in those aspects, people have more privilege than others in our society.
Who do you think in society has the most privilege?
I think one group in society that has the most privilege would be wealthy white males.
Okay. And as a female, do you think there are some privileges you don't have?
Yes, I definitely think there are privileges I don't have as a
It's been said that once something is brought to someone's attention, it can't be unlearned. Do you think that applies to privilege?
female. I think that privilege can be unlearned, but I don't think it's something that is unlearned quickly. Like I can't just tell someone that we have a privilege, like you have a privilege over someone else, and they're just gonna say, "Hey, okay, I understand that." I think privilege can be unlearned over time and in generations, just putting the right values and making people understand what it feels like to be oppressed.
Okay. And to you, what is oppression?
Oppression to me is any type of authority or power um, having, I guess, or belittling another or like any person for any reason. Just authority and power having something over someone else.
Do you think you've ever felt oppressed?
I think definitely as an 18-year-old girl, a woman, and a minority, I've definitely been oppressed in my life.
Are there any examples you're comfortable giving?
I think that I think that I've been oppressed as much as anyone else has been oppressed in America, being a woman, a minority, and an 18-year-old. Um, for one thing, like women can't just walk down the street and feel safe, or like if I dress promiscuously, someone might attack me, and I can fear that. That's being oppressed.
Okay. Do you think privilege and oppression are what keeps patriarchy functioning?
I think privilege and oppression do keep patriarchy functioning. I think that in our society we've learned privilege and we've learned oppression, and you do things that you've learned throughout your entire life and what your parents did and what your grandparents did. So within that, like anything that you do that might oppress someone or does anything like that, or just general like a sense of males having males oppressing people and male privilege and white privilege and things like that keep patriarchy going, because if you took away those things, we wouldn't be living in a patriarchy.
Okay, thank you. Okay. To you, what is feminism?
Feminism is the I don't know.
Well, when you think of like feminists, what do you.
Oh, so you feminist campaign. It's a campaign to enlighten the rest of the world to the plight of females.
Okay, so that's what you think feminism is?
Yeah, it's an ongoing effort to change things.
Okay. Do you believe that women are equal to men in all aspects of society?
No, they're not. I think that the society over the years has, evolved, over many, many, many years, and I think that the legacy of the way women were treated in the past takes a long time to dissipate. It requires a feminist movement to change it. But on the other hand, I don't think that, at least in the developed nations, that the things that used to hold women back are necessarily as pronounced as they used to be. If a woman wants to be a pilot, she can be a pilot. If a woman wants to be the president of the United States, she can be the president of the United States. But the more subtle things, I think, that have, progressed with society over many, many, many years are difficult to dissipate.
So when you say a woman could be like the president of the United States, you mean she has the potential to, or like people would actually vote for her despite the fact that she's a woman?
Both. I think women have the capability. There's some really, really, really powerful leaders, female leaders, intelligent females. They could run for president, and in this day and age, they could be elected. I do believe that.
Okay. In your own words, what's patriarchy?
A patriarchal society is one where the head is a male.
So like men have all the power over women in society then? They kind of run things, or?
Well, I mean, if there were, a strict patriarchal society, then yeah, I think that would be the case. But over the years, I don't believe that it's as defined as that. You've had in England, you've had kings for centuries, and the way women were treated has progressed. It's just taken a long time.
Okay.
And there's been queens.
True. Do you think the U.S. is patriarchal?
I think it has a tendency to be that way, yes, because even when you talk about the American history, you think about our founding fathers. We don't talk much about our founding mothers. It's just a carryover. We were fleeing the bounds of England and their control of us, and it was a time in history when men were leaders more than women.
Okay, what's your definition of privilege?
Privilege?
Yeah.
Privilege is it's an advantage gained through. It could be granted, it could be inherited, it could be earned.
What like group of people in the U.S. do you think has the most privilege based on like, I don't know, gender, race, all that?
Well, I think there's many different instances where different groups are privileged. You think of typical examples, wealth being one that people love to point to, and they say, "Well, here's a privilege." But at the same time, if Joe Sixpack works real hard and earns a lot of money, then he earned that privilege. It wasn't just inherited or given to him. So I think quite often people like to look at the wealthy as privilege, some sort of privilege that was granted to them. I like to think of it as an earned privilege.
Would you say you're privileged?
I would say I am privileged financially.
Do you think there's any privileges you don't have?
I'm sure there are.
Okay. I think males, like as a male, there are privileges you don't have compared to a female.
That I don't have?
Yeah. Do you think females in some aspects have more privileges than males?
Well, sure there are. There's all sorts of shades of gray and subtleties in society, but you think about in a relationship, women have control of things when they want to, and when they don't want to, sometimes they don't.
Well, can you be more specific? Like, give an example of what women have control of?
Well, in our society, they have control of who they marry. If you think about other societies, they don't. It's, um, marriages are arranged. So in America, a woman could say, "No, I don't want to marry you," and they could go find someone else, or they could remain single if they wish.
Well, don't you think that in our society, if a woman remains single, it's kind of like, oh, she's a spinster, whereas if a man stays single, oh, he's a bachelor. It's a cool thing.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's you could blame that on the media.
Okay. Um, it's been said that once something is brought to someone's attention, it can't be unlearned. Do you think that applies to privilege?
Privilege?
Yeah, like if you showed someone how privileged they are to someone else, they'd be like, you know what, I am privileged, and they do something about it.
Why would they have to do something?
Well, because, like, for instance, if you walk into a grocery store, the clerks aren't going to, like, follow you around and assume you're stealing something. Whereas if someone of a minority walks in, they're going to get followed and assumed that they're stealing.
Well, it depends. I guess if you're asking me if I'm made aware of a privilege and somehow I'm supposed to change the way I view it, I think that all depends on what the privilege is. I mean, if I have privileges because I'm white and male, I can't really control the fact that I'm white or male. If I have privileges because I have financial means, then I'm not going to throw my money away because of that. Because I could do better things for the world with money than I can without.
So would you say, like, people wouldn't necessarily, like, change things right away? It might take some time, kind of?
Oh, definitely. It takes a long time. You think about, privilege and feminism and the history of man and woman. There you go, right there. The history of the human race. It takes a long time to shed those old beliefs. A very long time. Society can't change overnight.
In your own words, what is oppression?
Oppression. Oppression is control over a group or an individual, I guess, by others to control them. It would be implied to hold them back.
Okay, as a straight white male, do you think you've ever felt oppressed?
Oh, sure I did. When I was in the orphanage, when I was a poor kid with no place to live, and in the orphanage, I was oppressed. I was, in a house with 30 other boys, and you did whatever you were told when you were told.
So, do you think that women are oppressed in the sense that they can't just walk down the street and feel safe? Like, the way they dress can get them attacked. Do you think that's kind of like males oppressing women?
Well, I think it's yeah, but I think it's more how would you put it, a societal ill that some people, and I wouldn't even say that they have to be women. Of course, I mean men. Of course, 99% probably are. I think they're more sick people that can't let a woman walk down the street, dress the way she wants. They can't control themselves. Then it is all men. You can't say all men.
Have you ever catcalled a woman?
Can't call a woman.
Yeah, be like, ooh, girl, look at those jeans. I don't know. Something like that.
I don't recall any time specifically, but I'm sure when I was a very, very young man, I probably, did whatever I could to attract women. Not that would work.
Do you find that oppressive at all? Saying that the way a woman looks is kind of like her worth?
Well, it doesn't have to be. Some women like to bring attention to themselves in a positive way. They like to look pretty, and they want someone to tell them that they look pretty. So it's not always. Other women may not want that attention, and they should be able to turn it off if they could. But I don't know. That's a societal thing. That if you walk around dressed like a beauty queen, you're going to get some attention. If you cover yourselves like a nun, you won't get as much attention.
You think privilege and oppression are what keeps patriarchy functioning?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't, because I think that the whole patriarchal society comes from centuries and centuries of it being the way the human race ran. Whether it was because male cavemen were stronger in the beginning or got luckier, I don't know, eating food and living longer, but it's just so ingrained in society that it is just going to take forever to weed it out. It's going to take whatever it took to put it in place is going to take twice as in excess of that to get rid of it. It's going to be harder. And if what put it in place was the fact that men were able to club a saber-toothed tiger on the head with a big stick and win when the woman couldn't, it's going to take something substantial like the feminist movement over time, et cetera, and the success, many successes of powerful women.
Okay, thank you.